Hi guys, it's Allie. In today's video we are going to be visiting the China Glaze Shades of Paradise collection for summer 2018. China Glaze's nail colors are vegan, just an FYI, and you're going to see the brush and the live swatches. It's not my favorite. It's not terrible, but it's not my favorite. It's one of those rounder, thinner brushes. So ideal for those with smaller nail beds. The order information will be in the description box in case you're curious about where I purchased these polishes from and how much they cost and all of that, delivery time, etc. For the collection info, I visited the China Glaze website some time ago and they described the collection with the following. Escape on a colorful getaway that lets you dip your tips in ocean blue shimmers while basking in the warmth of exotic purple pink sunsets. This is a 12-piece collection. So my thoughts on the collection, China Glaze usually does a really good job of giving us an array of colors, of shades in their collections, and this collection was no different. We have a little bit of everything except for like a yellow in there. It was, you know, pretty decent spectrum, a little heavy on the blue and the peach side, but they also gave us different finishes, which I appreciate, having different finishes and textures and all of that. All in all though, this is definitely a dupeable collection, as most of the mainstream collections have been recently. There are 3 polishes I'll recommend, and we'll go over that shortly. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the collection as a whole. Dupeable, but better than some other collections that have come out for the summer so far. So yeah, the descriptions that I give you will be my own, and we'll jump into the first polish. So first up, we're looking at Cabana Fever. This is a white matte. The consistency is normal, but the formula is extremely streaky. It's not easy to use at all. You have to work really quickly, as you do with a lot of China Glaze's mattes. They really need to work on that formula before they continue to put mattes in their collections. They've done a few of them right, like Combat Blutes was a pretty decent one. There was another one I can't remember off the top of my head, but for the most part, I find that these mattes that they've been releasing have just had horrendous formulas, and this one was no different for me. A thick third coat will get opaque, but it's just not an easy polish to work with. It obviously dries matte, and again, that helps explain the dreadful formula, but in my opinion, this polish is just a disaster. Not a fan of owning matte polishes to begin with anymore. I would personally recommend finding a color, the shade that you want, and then just using a matte top coat. I think that's the better economic decision, because then you can wear that shade glossy or matte. But for whatever, you know, whoever likes the color, and if you don't mind the bad matte formulas from China Glaze, then you can go for it. But for me, it's definitely one that I would skip. And second, we have Water Falling in Love. This one is what I would describe as a whited out kind of sky blue shade. This one has quite a thin consistency, and it goes on patchy and sheer. Some people might stop at 2, but I needed 3, and it's a solid 3-coater for me. It wasn't really close on 2. It does dry glossy, but given the fact that this is not that unique and the formula is a 3-coater, I would definitely skip. You can find sky blues in the drugstore for a lot cheaper with better formulas, so this is a skip. Third up, we're looking at Ma-Holo At Me. This one is a dusty kind of icy blue shade with this gold holographic in it. It has a normal consistency, pretty even, but a little bit sheer on one, to where I definitely needed 2. It got opaque for me in 2 coats, but I could see some people needing 3. The polish doesn't have the strongest holo, as most of China Glaze's holographics don't, but for whatever reason, I like China Glaze's holographics, even though they're really subtle and kind of soft. I don't know what it is about them, I just really like them. The gold shimmer in this, I think it's a shimmer. I think it's a shimmer instead of a holo, but either way, it's really nice against that blue. I think it just contrasts really nice against the blue. So I really enjoyed this one, and it is one of the 3 that I would recommend. The fourth polish we have is called Mer-Made for bluer waters. This one is what I would describe as a teal metallic with an emerald shimmer. The consistency of this one is slightly thin, but the coverage is pretty even. It's slightly sheer, so you'll need 2 to 3 coats for opacity. I think when I swatched it, I needed 3. I can't remember exactly because it's been so long. I think when I swatched it I needed 3, but I've worn it since then and I was able to get it opaque in 2. So you'll need between 2 and 3 coats to get it opaque. The finish is one of those wet looks. It's one of those true shimmer metallics where it looks wet on your nails. And this is the second polish that I would recommend. I think China Glaze does a fabulous job with those true metallics that look wet on the nails. I think they just do such a good job with them. So I would recommend Mer-Made for bluer waters. Polish number 5 is called Stop Beachfrontin. This one is a slightly warm grape purple. It has quite a funky scent to it, so don't be thrown off by that. It has one of those really off-putting kind of smells to it. The polish itself has a normal consistency, and while it's pretty even coverage, it's sheer, so you're going to need between 2 and 3 coats for this one as well. It just depends on your application. For me, it's a fairly standard purple polish, so nothing too special, and the fact that it might require 3 coats means this is a hard pass for me. You can find these shades much like the blue with better formulas that cost cheaper, and yeah, so this would be a skip. And taking us to the halfway point of the collection, we have Boujee Board. Love it. Alright, so this one is what I would describe as a magenta toned matte purple. It's almost like a, yeah, it's more of a magenta in this lighting, but in different lighting, like it looks kind of dark. So yeah, I'll stick to my description. This one has a normal consistency. It's a little bit on the sheer side, and it did require 3 coats for opacity. It wasn't as horrible a formula as Cabana Fever. It actually wasn't too bad at all. I'm just indifferent to it because of the shade. It's just okay. The formula was decent. The color is meh, so I would probably skip this. Actually, I know I would skip this. It's not a question. But it's a little bit better of a formula than Cabana Fever. So just to make that, you know, connection, it's for a matte polish, it's not terrible. Polish number 7 is called Don't Be Sea Salty. This one is what I would describe as a hot, bright, rich, slightly rich pink shade. It's a cream, but it has this cool toned pink shimmer in there. So I always like either warm shades with cool shimmers or cool shades with warm shimmers. I like the contrast. That's kind of what's going on with Ma-Holo At Me, that blue holographic with the gold in there. I just like the contrast of those two with each other. This one had a normal consistency, but it's also very sheer. It really didn't get opaque for me even in 3 coats, so this is another one that I would just say it's a hard pass for me. It's also matte. I think I forgot to say that, but it's also a matte polish. And like I said, the formula didn't get opaque for me in 3 coats, so yeah, I'm already not a fan of pink polishes, but the fact that it wasn't even opaque in 3 means that I would definitely just pass on this one. So yeah, if you like the color and you like the shimmer, and you like the fact that it's matte, then maybe go for it, but hard pass. Alright, so the next one we have is called Kiki in Our TIki. And this one is really pretty. It's what I would describe as like a tomato red cream, and it's really like a crelly. It has more of a crelly-ish formula to it. The consistency is normal, but it's extremely patchy, very patchy. And it's also, you guessed it, sheer. I think some people can get this opaque in 2. If you have shorter nails and maybe you use thicker coats, you can probably get it opaque in 2, but I think a lot of people will need 3. I needed 3, both in the live swatch and the swatch picture. I did like the crelly feel to it. I just love crelly polishes because they're ultra glossy and kind of squishy like. And I like the color as well, but just for the formula, the fact that it was just kind of patchy and required 3 coats, it would be a skip for me. I wouldn't repurchase it. I might keep it in my collection or give it to my sister or something, but it's not something that I would repurchase for sure. Polish number 9 is called Tropic of Conversation. So this one is what I would describe as this orange coral cream, and it has an orange shimmer, kind of like an orangey gold shimmer. The polish has a normal consistency, but it's sheer. It has a glossy finish, but this one's just very skippable to me. In fact, I'm going to tell you what to do. Get a polish that has a similar base as this, and then pick up China Glaze's Suns Out, Buns Out. And you're going to get like basically this polish, but the shimmer will be to level 10. And that's one of my favorite China Glaze polishes, really. It's a polish, but it's also a topper. And I would use it more as a topper than actual polish since it is a little bit on the sheer side. But it would give you the same exact polish, just far more shimmery. So I would recommend doing that. Alright, and number 10 we have Can't Sandel This. Love the punny names. This one is what I would describe as a salmon rose cream. It has a normal consistency, but sheer. It's sheer, but it actually has a pretty even formula, so between 2 and 3 coats for opacity, and the formula is not difficult to work with. It dries glossy, but there's nothing spectacular about this polish, and you know, if you're buying it at full price, being $9, I would absolutely skip it. If you get it on sale, you know, I personally would skip it, because I think you can find, you know, similar shades at the drugstore for a lot cheaper, but you know, it's up to you. Ultimately, I would skip it. Polish number 11 is called All Sun and Games. This is a slightly peach toned bright orange with this really bright orange shimmer. The consistency is slightly thin. It's a streaky and sheer polish. And you're gonna need 3 coats because it has the tendency to be very sheer. And for me, 3 coats was still a tiny bit sheer. So it's not my favorite. It does dry matte. It's another one of those matte polishes. I apologize. There's a motorcycle going through my neighborhood. And then my dishwasher's going. I forgot about that, so my bad. But yeah, so sheer, streaky, doesn't really get opaque for me. You already know. Skip. And if you've been keeping up, I said I would recommend 3 polishes, and I've only recommended 2 so far. So you already know I'm going to recommend I'll Sand by You. So this is a gray toned latte brown cream with a subtle gold shimmer. It has a normal consistency. It is extremely close to being opaque in just 1 coat, and so for that reason alone, I would have to highly recommend it. It's just sheer enough on me to need 2 coats, but they're 2 easy coats, so no issues with that. It dries to a glossy finish, and like I said, this is the 3rd polish that I would recommend. So those are the 12 polishes. Sound off in the comment section. I'd love to know what your opinions were about the collection as a whole, and which ones you've either picked up or want to pick up, and which ones you thought were pass. If you picked some up that had terrible formulas, even if they contradict what I said in the video, let us know in the comment section. I love the knowledge, and I think everyone else would appreciate it as well. And yeah, that's all I have for you in this video, so I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Bye.